Shein goes from fast fashion company to basically like a Shein Depop.
Alexis Sunshine 83, it's always sunny here.
Hey Sunshiners, so today's video is a little bit different. I have had this on my mind for the past 8 months and I just want to talk about it because fast fashion is taking over thrifting, or at least trying to tap into the secondhand market. They're incorporating these like resale marketplaces into their business model. And as somebody whose literally entire job is about secondhand clothes, thrifting, I felt like it was relevant to talk about it because I think this is just the beginning. I already have found that so many fast fashion brands have these resale marketplaces and I had no idea. It's basically like Depop, but the brands are the ones putting it on. I feel like this is kind of new, but also with the amount of brands that are launching their own resale marketplaces, I think it's basically going to become almost like a requirement for clothing brands, similar to how every fashion brand, whether it's sustainable or fast fashion, has like a little sustainability like page on their website. But obviously, is it actually a good thing? Is it just another greenwashing type of tactic? It is no surprise that secondhand clothing is big. So many people are buying secondhand over new or incorporating secondhand into their wardrobe way more than ever before. According to a report by ThredUp, last year secondhand sales were $177 billion globally and $39 billion in the US. We've also seen a big urge from consumers for fast fashion brands to be more transparent, and honestly, not even fast fashion brands, literally any brand to be more transparent when it comes to sustainability products, also ethical manufacturing. And we've just seen this big wave of people telling clothing companies and companies in general that this is what we want. There has been loads of discourse when it comes to the fashion industry and how polluting it is directly when it comes to textile waste and how it's affecting people and also the climate. In the US, each year, some 11.3 million tons of textile waste, or 85% of all textiles, are sent to landfills according to earth.com. It doesn't help that the number of times a garment is worn has declined by nearly 40% since 2007. The trend cycle has also become faster than it ever has been. Some trends only lasting a month and being discarded after being considered outdated. One of the biggest examples of that is especially during 2020 and 2021 with the rise of TikTok, specifically impacting trends and fashion. And I think one thing when it comes to TikTok, there isn't all bad when it comes to fashion. I follow loads of secondhand thrifting dedicated TikTok accounts and also re-wearing pieces multiple times. So there's definitely positives, but you can't deny that it also very much promotes like fast trends, things that are in, things that are out. But I feel like it definitely has changed compared to 2020 and 2021. It was insane when it came to the fashion trends, when it came to dupes. The biggest example that everyone gives during this time is that green knit like marbly dress. And even myself, I did a thrift with me, thrifting kind of similar stuff, but I feel like so many people now absolutely hate those trends because it was just so like oversaturated that it ended up becoming outdated literally within a year, and some again only a couple months. One of the biggest components when it comes to these trends going so fast is also because fast fashion companies are rapidly producing these clothing and trends on an insane scale. Shein posts more than 2,000 new arrivals on their website every single day. Jordan actually made a fantastic video kind of breaking down the Shein 2020 effect when it comes to all those trends. So I highly recommend checking out her video because she talks obviously more in depth on this kind of whole thing. Now, whenever I talk about Shein or any fast fashion company, I want to make it clear that I am not shaming anyone who buys from them, and I'm specifically directing my criticism to the brand. Anytime I mention, again, Shein especially, but any fast fashion brand, I will get two opposing comments. One of them saying that I wasn't harsh enough and I should have been like meaner, or two, that I shouldn't be criticizing the brands at all because there's a lot of people that buy from them that don't have a choice. There are so many reasons why people buy from these fast fashion companies. So just know I'm not directing this at you, and I'll be the first to say that I am not the most sustainable person. As much as I, try to buy a majority of my stuff secondhand, sometimes I buy new. Nobody is perfect, and we are literally all just trying our best. I really don't like how a lot of the blame usually is put on the individuals versus the companies, and honestly, the companies also try to put the blame on us. Yeah, I wanted to put a disclaimer because I think that's really important whenever I'm discussing this type of topic, and this is one of the reasons why, honestly, I try not to talk about it, because it can, again, bring two different opposing comments and views. So is the rise of thrifting and these secondhand online marketplaces and apps really impacting fast fashion brands? I feel like possibly if they are doing this and adding this to their business model, again, it goes back to, in the beginning of the video, my point when it comes to brands that launch different sustainability lines. This is a way for them to be like, oh, hey, actually, we're doing good stuff for the environment because we've implemented this secondhand marketplace. We've seen brands like Boohoo, Princess Polly, H&M have these specific sustainability lines, and I feel like they thought it was gonna be more impactful than it was, because I feel like if anything, especially the sustainability kind of community obviously knew that this actually isn't sustainable, and if anything, I feel like it was more of a negative than the positive that they thought it was going to be, especially as a selling tactic. I'm somebody that tries to see the good in people and also the good in companies, and you see them, making sustainability efforts, and for me, I'm like, oh, they care, but I also know that when it comes to fast fashion and sustainability, they cannot exist together. Adding a secondhand marketplace and resell part of their website, they don't have to do any, they have to create, I guess, the website part, but they don't have to do anything. They don't have to promise anything. It's really just setting it up and having customers kind of do it all. A lot of these brands will also offer credits when you sell something to then buy new stuff. So for them, it's a win-win. Again, from the outside, you're like, oh, people are gonna be buying secondhand pieces. They're gonna be buying secondhand instead of new because we have literally a surplus of clothing that has already been produced. And for a lot of people that maybe have never tried secondhand clothing, never tried thrifting, this could be the first thing that they actually ever try. So maybe from them using one of these fast fashion secondhand resale markets, they then get into secondhand. Another reason why they are wanting it to be on their site is they're getting a cut. So instead of somebody selling, I don't know, something from Zara on Depop, and I guess Depop getting a cut of that, Zara with their secondhand marketplace, which we'll talk about in a second, is going to get that cut. In a way, you then are kind of still contributing to fast fashion, but you're still then buying secondhand. So there's kind of good, but then also maybe kind of not good. The whole subject is very great. I think especially when it comes to Shein, because Shein does have their exchange app. I did download it, I know. I just wanted to see what it was like. And most of the pieces were 75 cents. So pricing wise, it's pretty similar to Shein, but it is then second hand. And especially when it comes to Shein, if you've gone to a thrift store recently, obviously it depends on what your thrift store is and, you know, a bunch of different factors. There's a lot of Shein stuff, and a lot of people won't thrift Shein pieces for a multiple of reasons. Personally, when it comes to thrifting brands at the thrift store, no brand is off limits as long as I like it and I'm going to wear it and the material feels good, because that stuff is just gonna end up in the landfill. So even if you did like a DIY with it, but again, everyone has different reasons why then they won't thrift it. Kind of having those Shein pieces then go on this app, you're having the customers that do want Shein pieces having direct like contact to be able to buy it, and for a cheap price still. I feel like a lot of Shein pieces at the thrift store can range from like $5 to $10, and then with Depop and Poshmark, a lot of people won't then get them on there because the seller is literally not going to make anything. If you sell anything for less than $5 on Depop, like, you're gonna get pennies. Also, as a buyer, you not only are paying that $5, but you have to pay shipping, and so that Shein piece is now like over $10 when the original price was probably, I don't know, I feel like Shein prices can like kind of range. I've seen stuff for like $30 on there, but maybe that top was like $5 and now you're paying like $11 to get it secondhand, versus on the Shein marketplace, it may have that cheaper price, which will then get people to at least buy those Shein pieces that would most likely just be discarded. I think there really is another conversation when it comes to Shein clothing after people are done with it, because I feel like we don't know what to do with it, and over time I think it's going to become a bigger problem because I don't feel like you can really resell it when it comes to prices, or people aren't willing to resell it because it doesn't earn you any money. And for a lot of people, they see these fast fashion pieces at the thrift store or Depop or ThredUp and that kind of thing, and they're more expensive than just buying it new. I think we would all collectively agree that I would rather the companies put more effort to then again implement better, you know, working conditions for the workers and, you know, so many other things than this. I feel like truly Shein could just stop production right now and just sell all of their stuff on the secondhand marketplace. Like, Shein goes from fast fashion company to basically like a Shein Depop, and people just like buy from there. Obviously that's unrealistic, but I feel like with the amount of stuff that they have of clothing and how many people buy from them, that they could make it work. So maybe Shein will change their entire structure of their company. I feel like this video is becoming just like super Shein focused. So it's not just Shein. I wanted to talk about some other brands that have these secondhand markets on their websites. Some I literally had no idea about, and I'm just shocked. The first one I feel like is the one that I've known about the longest, which is the ASOS marketplace. This one's a little bit different just because it's kind of a lot of small businesses, boutiques, vintage, so it has just a different structure, but I personally bought from it. I thought it was really cool. Get to Marry Johansson made a video on this exact topic. I highly recommend watching her video. She mentioned that when it comes to the ASOS marketplace, the thing that kind of is the downfall of it is ASOS hasn't done anything to then be better. They kind of like launched it but kept the same fast fashion practices. Again, purchasing from there then does go to ASOS. Another one kind of similar but still kind of different is the Urban Outfitters. I think it's called their like renewal vintage line, and I was originally gonna make a video on it, gosh, I think back in 2018, and I decided not to because the prices are so expensive. So if anything, I feel like it makes you want to spend more money on like the Urban Outfitters products because they are like cheaper than that. But again, it is then vintage, so the secondhand aspect. But I don't know, I feel like their vintage renewal thing is just so interesting to me because they've kept going, I guess, for like 5 years now, and there's some pieces where you don't even get to choose which one. I think they have like Urban Outfitters vintage jeans, and you can't even choose which one you want. It has like 3 example photos, but you can't even see like what brand it is. Sometimes they're Levi's, but it'll be like different brands. It's basically like a mystery box that you paid $50 for one pair. I have noticed that the Urban Outfitters vintage line has been referenced in a lot of different articles that I've seen talking about where to shop for sustainable pieces. I literally, it will say, oh, Urban Outfitters like vintage line, which like, yes, I guess, but also, I don't know. I think that's what these companies want you to do, is to go to them versus, again, like Depop or something like that. Also, I mean, Depop and a lot of different secondhand apps and sites have all of their cons as well. Do not get me wrong. One thing I did not realize is Walmart has a pre-owned section on their website. Was I the only person that didn't know this? They have even a pre-owned luxury section, which is wild. And again, it goes back to like, maybe people are hearing about pre-owned and secondhand for the first time on the Walmart website, or maybe they used to go thrifting, but now they don't have access to any thrift stores, but they want to still buy secondhand. Using Walmart pre-owned maybe is the best option for them. Back, I think in the summer, Pretty Little Thing had announced their own secondhand market. They actually have a additional like donating part to their website. It's through an app called Regain, where you ship unwanted clothes to then get a discount on then new clothes to spend on Pretty Little Thing. In general, these companies like creating these secondhand markets, it's kind of like, okay. But the thing that actually made me very mad is on the Pretty Little Thing website, when it's talking about like donating and being sustainable, they have an entire article on how to be sustainable, is they literally put, did you know you can do your bit to prevent the unnecessary pileup of discarded clothing and landfills? Again, it's the even companies putting all the blame on individuals that I don't like. From what I know, the Pretty Little Thing app is only in the UK, and there's actually a couple of resale marketplaces on these fast fashion companies that are UK based, which I just thought was really interesting, especially because I know, well, I mean, I've been to the UK twice, and thrifting secondhand is a lot more difficult than it is in the US. Zara is another one that has a pre-owned section on their website, again, specifically for the UK, and they charge £1 and then a 5% selling fee for buyers on all purchases. I didn't get all the like fees for every single brand, but again, just to note that these fast fashion companies are obviously then charging you to then sell on there, so they're still getting a profit. Buying on, say, like Zara on their pre-owned section, there is a part of it where maybe a lot of people also feel like these are big companies, so maybe it's more, you know, comfortable and you have less risk selling on them than say Depop. And also on Depop, sometimes you go to buy something because it says it's from Zara and then it's like, oh, tagged for exposure. So it isn't even Zara, maybe you needed a very specific thing. So I can see the idea of then maybe you would go on there. When I'm saying both sides, I'm not trying to say like I'm 100% pro this or 100% con this. I'm just trying to like understand in my mind, and I have to find some positive in it, some hope. H&M has been a big, loud greenwasher of things that they really are doing, they're doing the most. They also have a secondhand market on their website called Rewear that's only available in Canada right now. One of my favorites though, and I'm saying favorite, you will understand, is American Eagle just partnered with ThredUp, which I love ThredUp, and I definitely understand companies then like wanting to loop them in. They created an augmented reality secondhand marketplace in Snapchat. Very fascinating. They're going above and beyond, really trying to do it different. They're not like other girls. Oh, I also forgot to mention that it's not just fast fashion brands. Lisa Says Gaw is launching their own secondhand marketplace, and Jerf Avenue has already had a secondhand marketplace. I think they've had it for the past couple of months. Like I have said throughout the video, I see pros, I see cons, and I just don't really know how I feel about it, because part of me is like, brands are listening to our concerns, but like also they aren't. Like they are a little bit to the point where it's like it doesn't actually affect them, and if anything, it's like a good thing for them to then maybe get people to not only, you know, get a percentage from these sales from their secondhand markets, but then get people to buy their new stuff as well. I really didn't know how to like wrap up any of my thoughts in this video, but I think the purpose of me making this video was just sharing how interesting it is, because I'm also like, is it going to affect things going on Depop and Poshmark or going into the thrift store? The whole thing with shein items, like, could that actually be kind of helpful? I don't know. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. If you do like thrifting and secondhand fashion, then make sure to subscribe right down below and hit that little bell to be notified every time I make a new video. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, which is alexsunshine83. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you have a super sunny day. Bye.